module designed as a 10 to 15-minute educational speech to be given in the club, giving practical tips that can be of benefit to all members. Tonight, Joanna will present the module on selecting your topic.
If you haven't been to a Toastmaster meeting before, this is a special presentation that I'm doing this evening that is a packaged presentation that the organization gives us to help us build successful clubs. It comes from a series of modules called the Better Speakers series. Better Speakers series. For those of us that have been around in Toastmasters for a while, and I'm one that's been around since the 1980s, in and out of Toastmasters since the 1980s, because the biggest challenge for me was even saying my name in front of a group, let alone giving a speech. So I've been in and out for a really long time. And for those of us that have been around for a long time, it's our responsibility, if we're a leader within the club, to occasionally do one or more of these leadership modules. It's a great opportunity for when we have meetings like this where there aren't a lot of people that are signed up, that we can pull out these little modules. This one happens to be selecting your topic. It just happened to be one that I picked because I thought it might be interesting, because I know that we do best to teach what we're here to learn. I've been having a heck of a hard time coming up with, what do I want to talk about? So I thought, well, why not just use that? Because there's a lot of new people here that are getting into our speaking series and are probably wondering or struggling with, what do I want to talk about? Are you having any of that as you're getting ready to do your first speech? What I'd like to do is introduce you to what we have here is called the Competent Communicators Manual. Everyone that comes into Toastmasters has an opportunity to work their way through 10 basic speeches as the beginning of their program. And alongside of that, we also have a leadership manual that we work through as well. Tonight I'm focused on applying the principles to our communication skills manual. And in this manual, it starts you off with the first speech about breaking the ice. It's where we get up and we tell each other, we tell the group a little bit more to get to know each other, and you have 4 to 6 minutes to do that. And in that first speech, you get to practice all of the other 10 speeches, whether you know it or not. You have to have an organized speech. You get to use your voice in a particular way. You get to use props if you want to. There are many ways that you research your topic in order to give that speech, and all of those skills are a part of the development of ourselves as a speaker. The interesting part is that the skills are what the program is focused on, but we get to pick the topic. And that's where selecting the topic comes in. It's like, how do I pick a topic? Especially when I have all of this stuff that I can talk about. Or maybe there's a little voice. For me, that's my voice. And I got so much to talk about, I can't figure out where to even begin. And then there's the voice that says, well, you're not worthy of talking about that. So I gave a speech title to this saying, did I write my speech title down?
You did not.
I did not. I broke my own rule. Okay? You have little white pieces of paper, and you also have other things that you might write on, so I invite you to take notes. Number one, if you're going to select a topic, is to come up with a title. And the title that I picked for this was, You have something to say that has value. You have something to say that has value. That's the topic of my speech, because selecting a topic is your responsibility, and a lot of the things that hold us back from taking that first step is a belief in us that we don't have anything of value to say. No matter how long we've been in it. So you have something of value to say. Now, I was spontaneous in pulling this together. And the one thing that's nice about spontaneity is that sometimes all of the resources we need are at our fingertips. One of the things I did at one point in time was, on our website there's a download, and I believe it's in both the member downloads and it's also in the non-member downloads. I didn't check the non-member, but I'm pretty sure it is. And it's a speech preparation tips manual, which I'm going to hand out to you right now. And it starts at the top of the page with screening your topic. Something you know well, something you have experience in. It can be cooking. It can be helping people with memory issues, helping people with learning how to get their words on paper, or what it takes to even write a book, those kind of things. Where can you begin is to start within your own experience and talk about something that you really, really have a passion for. And sometimes for me, even talking about the thing I have a passion for is the thing that makes it more difficult for me to stand up here and even begin to talk about it. Because I want to give it such value and such attention that it has to be perfect. And one of the key things that keeps us, I believe, from getting our words on paper and getting out and actually doing something is that part of us that believes we need to be perfect before we can even begin to stand up here and do it. This is where our spontaneity comes in as a part of this journey. This is a practice speech that I'm giving. I haven't done this speech in a very long time, haven't done it in this way, just had some ideas this afternoon, and when I thought, this is an opportunity to introduce people to the idea that we have these wonderful speaker modules that are available to anyone in the club. All you have to do is go to Toastmasters.org, write that down, Toastmasters.org. Under Resources, and when you get to Resources, you type in the little search box, Better Speakers Series. It has a whole outline and a handout that looks like, I actually printed it off, so it looks, they're each about 10 pages, and they have a complete outline for you that gives you everything that you would ever need to know in order to do that. So you can use it as an educational resource for yourself, or you can bring it in and prepare it and deliver a speech about it, so that the people that are members of the club benefit from what you know. Number 2 on this list, I'm back to the top of this page. Something that you're passionate about, something that's meaningful for you. I mentioned that. And number 3, something that is relevant to your audience. Toastmasters is a wonderful audience because we're open to anything. And yet, if you're here and you're ready to give a presentation to an accounting panel, and you want to practice that speech as one of the manual projects, how do you do that when you're speaking to a bunch of Toastmasters? Anybody?
Bring candy.
That's one way.
Pretend, educate.
Educate. Just let us know who the audience is and say, I want you guys to ask questions as if you are on the panel and hearing the new accounting tips for tax year 2016. And we'll be that audience for you. Okay? Say?
Let's pretend.
Let's pretend. Write it down. Daniel and I had an opportunity to go up and see Darren LaCroix at one of the Toastmaster conferences. Was it a year and a half ago, a couple years ago? And Darren is a fellow who won the world champion of public speaking in the Toastmaster circle back in 2001. He's very funny. One of the kind of guys, he tells a story where when he first got into Toastmasters, he decided to take advantage of all the resources available to him, and he joined every club in his area. He would commute for 2 hours to go out and give a 5-minute speech in a comedy club and turn around and come back, because he knew that the principle of getting over yourself in front of a group was stage time, stage time, stage time. So he teaches stage time, stage time, stage time. For those of us that are struggling to get up in front of the room here and give a speech, it's like we want to have a little birdie on our shoulder that keeps whispering in our ear that goes stage time, stage time, stage time. Even if it means standing up here and you're completely unprepared and you do it completely off the cuff because you had an experience that day with a deer that almost ran into your car, which I did one time. Going down the list here, this is what Darren teaches, the important questions to ask before writing your speech. What do I want my audience to think, feel, or do after my talk? Can we use your talk as an example?
Sure.
An icebreaker. Erin's getting ready to do her icebreaker.
Tonight?
What?
Tonight? No, I
Not
was going to.
We're gonna help her with her icebreaker tonight a
Okay,
bit.
yes.
What do, you know, when we're doing an icebreaker, and help me out for those of you that have done icebreakers before, when we do an icebreaker, what do we want people to think as a result of our icebreaker?
I know that person a little better.
Right. And what do we want our audience to feel?
I like that person.
I like that person.
I want to get to know that.
I want to
person
get to
more.
know more. I want to hear him speak more. I want to watch him grow. I remember when I was there and how I couldn't hold the glass of water still and my voice was shaking and they look so good. You know, and so we have those feelings. What do we want people to do after the talk when we've given an icebreaker?
Support us, encourage
Applaud.
us.
Applaud.
Say thank you.
Say thank you.
It's great to know you.
Yeah. Encourage us to come back and to keep going. Yes?
Absolutely.
Share what went well,
Right.
and point out, mirror and point out what went well.
Right. Okay. What story can I tell that demonstrates the result of my work or my message? It's easy with an icebreaker because it's all your story. We want to know your story. But let's say you have the project number 2 where it's to organize your speech. What story can you tell that would fit within an organize your speech outline? For me, I'll give you the answer to that as I ask it. That when you organize your speech, you want to tell your audience where you're going in your speech. Then you want to give them an example and a couple of points because we've only got 5 to 7 minutes, so there's like no more than 3 vignettes about this major premise that you've written. Okay? Let's say the premise is spontaneity breeds creativity. Okay? Then I might tell 3 little vignette stories, spontaneity breeds creativity, where I was spontaneous and I was able to experience more creative ideas coming from it. For instance, when I want to give a speech, I cannot write out my speech in advance. It's not my learning style. My learning style is go and do it, and then watch myself on video, transcribe what I said, and I go, oh, I could have organized that a little differently. But if I try to do it in my head first, I get completely blocked. It doesn't work for me. There are different learning styles. It's why I love that we have a camera for us, for those of us that need to see themselves and have a different tool. Okay? So spontaneity breeds creativity. And I could tell a story in there about that. I might not tell more than 1 or 2. And then in closing, I would organize that speech by reinforcing what I started with. I might even just say my title one more time. Spontaneity breeds creativity. It can be that simple. It's amazing how you can fill up 5 to 7, 10, 15, 20 minutes in a very quick time frame. And there's a lot that you can do with that. What wisdom can I give away that has value? I think the thing that made it most difficult for me when I was standing up in front of a group initially was that I was always focused on me. My upset tummy, my nervous butterflies that were not flying in formation. There were just a lot of things that I was focused on other than my audience. You may not know, Tom, that in between seeing you the last time, I spent 4 years on the road with Fred Pryor because the brain gym thing didn't support me, and I wound up traveling and teaching communication and leadership skills. What I learned in that, from them initially and throughout, any time I had a problem, was that my problems were generated because my focus was on myself rather than on my audience. What is my audience going to take away from me speaking today? How am I helping make a difference in my audience? My focus wants to be audience focused, not me focused. Because when I'm audience focused, then I can notice whose eyes I've got, which helps me know when I can pause and breathe and go back and say something again, because that face over there might be going, what did she say? Because I'm audience focused and I want my audience to get my message. So what wisdom can you give away that has value when you have an icebreaker, for instance?
Personal experience.
Personal experience. To know when you're giving your icebreaker that all of us are taking something away. We might not even know what they're going to take away, but because we had the courage to stand up in front of the room and give this talk about where we began and all the adventures we went on and all of the lives that we touched along the way and all the things we did and didn't do and how we stubbed our toes, more than anything how we stubbed our toes, people begin to relate to you and they enjoy listening to you. And so it's from those stubbed toe, especially, experiences that some of the greatest speeches can come. And it's where the humor comes when we can go and look at ourselves and laugh about it as well. I would encourage that going forward, we have speaker 1, 2, and 3 on this list every week. This is an opportunity for you to stand up in front of the room spontaneously or with preparation. Every moment up here is a stage time opportunity for you to get over yourself in front of the group. It's an opportunity to practice the different principles in the manual, all the different skill sets. Select a topic that's your passion, that is your stubbed toe experience, and what you learned from that. Go for it.